Hey there! Welcome to LSAT Daemon Daily. I am Chris, head teacher at LSATDaemon.com, and that is Nathan Fox, one of the co-founders of LSATDaemon.com and the weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We've got an email here from Bailey. Nathan
says, I'm studying for the October LSAT right now, hoping to get my applications in by early November for admission in the fall of 2024. I'm sorry, I'm already whining because it just kind of hurts me. People gotta separate your LSAT prep and you're taking the official LSAT. You have to separate that from when you're going to apply. I can already tell, Bailey, that you're forcing yourself in to rushing in applications. And you're already applying late, by the way. If you're applying in early November, then there are other people who have already applied ahead of you. They might have already gotten scholarship offers ahead of you. I just don't like this plan. I really wish that automatically I'm like, nah, just push it to the next cycle. Keep studying for the LSAT because you might need to study for a while. The average is probably 4 months, but many people study for 6 months, 9 months. Many people end up taking the official LSAT multiple times. And if you're forcing yourself into applying this fall, you're going to be shorting yourself on the prep or shorting yourself on your official attempts. And I already hate this plan. One sentence into the email, but let me read the rest of this. I currently have a 154 diagnostic taken 3 weeks ago, but I am really confident in my abilities. And I think I can get to at least high 160s, but hoping for 170s in October. I also signed up for the September LSAT, even though I'm pretty sure October is when I'll do my best. Do you see what you're doing here, Bailey? As I foresaw, my prophecy is already correct that you're not going to be ready in September, but you're signed up for it anyway. It's just, this is not what we're looking for. Okay, Bailey continues. I know you advise against taking it until you are ready, but I get really nervous with proctored exams and have anxiety that something will go wrong with the proctor. Okay, that's not reason to take it. That's reason to not take it. I want to take it in September so that when October comes, I know exactly what to expect on the process of the proctoring system itself. I love to be prepared. Is this a mistake? Well, no, being prepared is not a mistake. But so you're telling me that your preparation for October includes you purposely taking it unprepared in September, which leads to stress and anxiety, which you already told me that you have.
Bailey, I think you're creating so much of this stress and anxiety because of your timeline. That's where the stress and anxiety is coming from. And I love that you're really confident in your abilities, but your plan is not built around confidence. It's built around just trying to get in as quick as you can with whatever score necessary. Bailey, I am confident in your abilities too, because I think this is fundamentally a learnable test. That means I want to tell you, follow those abilities as far as they'll take you, as long as it takes until you are really kicking ass at the LSAT. If you're confident that, yeah, ultimately I can crush this test, no problem, why stop early?
Yeah, I mean, and even in Bailey's second sentence, they said, I think I can get to at least high 160s, but hoping for 170s in October. I would flip that. I think you need to set your floor higher. If I were you, Bailey, I would not take the official LSAT until my practice tests were solidly in the 170s. I'm confident that when somebody takes a 154 diagnostic, I'm confident that I can get you into the 170s. I see no reason why you can't get into the 170s. I actually think you would be settling if you only end up in the high 160s. And thinking a little bit down the road here, and based on what I've seen students do in the past, what if you take it in September and October and get a 168? You might end up sending in applications at not the optimal time in the cycle, because we really would like you to apply early in fall. And you're going to be applying in November with you might just, okay, 168, great, I did it. And now you're applying with a 168 in October. When if you kept studying and if you kept retaking the LSAT, or if you had never even sat for the LSAT until your practice tests were already in the 170s, which is really what I think you should do. You end up scoring in the 170s in November or in January of next year or whatever. And then you just apply in the fall of 2024 and you start law school in the fall of 2025, but you're applying with a 170 something instead of applying with a 168. Also, this whole process will be far less stressful if you do it that way. You will have plenty of time to study. You'll have plenty of time for multiple retakes, which will help with your test anxiety. You get really nervous with proctored exams. Well, okay, the solution isn't jump into a test that I'm not ready for so that I'll see the process of the proctoring system. It's not about the process of the proctoring system. It's about getting good enough at the test to where you don't care what the process of the proctoring system is. You just know that you can kill the test. And if you get that good at the test, which with a 154 diagnostic, you really should be able to get that good at the test. Like I see you, Bailey, as a 175. You're not there yet, but you can get there. But forcing yourself to get there by September or forcing yourself to get there by October so that you can apply this cycle, you're compounding your test anxiety instead of doing the right thing to get yourself out of that test anxiety.
Yeah. I love basketball, so I use basketball analogies a lot. I used this one in class last week, working with a student. Imagine, Bailey, you're walking into a basketball arena and to leave costs you $250,000. But if you can make one basket out of 5 shots, you don't have to pay. You get to walk out scot-free.
Wow.
Any sane person is dribbling all the way to the basket as close as they possibly can, and they're shooting all 5 shots till they make one. What you're kind of describing here is what a lot of students do. They're like, I'm at half court now. Let me just chuck it, see if I can get it in there. Let me take 2 or 3 shots at half court, maybe from the bleachers. That's not what we want to do, and it's completely kind of misunderstanding the process and what opportunity you have. You want to dribble as close as you can, meaning you want your PTs to be as high as they can possibly go based on your abilities. Then you want to spend all the attempts that you possibly can to try to make it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the LSAT really is a layup. For someone who starts with a 154, the LSAT is a layup if you do your prep properly. I don't see any reason why you can't end up in the 170s, Bailey. I mean, I want to hire you a year from now when you've got your official 170 something LSAT. Like this is 154 diagnostics very frequently turn into LSAT teachers. You just got to do the prep. And you should not be thinking at all about official test dates. You should just be thinking about your prep. And with the prep, I agree with you. You're confident in your abilities. No reason why you're not going to get into the 160s pretty soon. But I wouldn't sign up for any official tests until you're into your 170s. And even if that takes 4 months, 6 months, however long it takes, but eventually applying in the one, taking the official test, knowing that you have 170s on your official practice test record, that's a hell of a lot more useful than, oh, I took it in September when I wasn't ready and I did shitty on it because I knew I was going to do shitty on it because I knew I wasn't ready. But now I'm familiar with the proctoring. No, get familiar with the test. do lots of prep, do lots of practice tests, get your scores up into the 170, then sign up for an official test.
And Bailey, if you want some practice with a proctored test experience, LSAT Daemon has a free proctored test that we facilitate for students to kind of get the experience of sitting with somebody watching you take the test. Online, you can set up your test environment to be exactly the same you'd experience and get that without having to pay and burn one of your attempts.
Right. Yeah. It costs $217 or whatever it is now to take the test. Plus, it burns up one of your 5. You have 5 attempts in 5 years at this thing. And if you take it in September when you're not ready, then it's like there's no upside because you're not going to get your very best score. You're doing that so that you can try to reduce the downside of your second attempt. The way you reduce the downside of your attempts is you do lots of practice tests, which cost you nothing. We have 100 of them in LSAT Daemon that you can practice on and learn from. And then once you've learned and practiced and you see those practice test scores pretty consistently in the high 160s or preferably in the 170s, then you sign up for an official test and potentially multiple official tests, so that if you do have proctor issues or anxiety or whatever pops up, you're going to use all of your official attempts in a state of preparedness. You say you like to be prepared. Well, your plan is you're intentionally taking one of the tests unprepared as part of your preparation, and that's just not a plan. Not a good plan anyway. Additionally, do you recommend purchasing Score Preview? What do we think about Score Preview, Chris?
If I were LSAC, I love it because I've kind of monetized student anxiety in a way. To me, I don't see that there's any value in buying that score preview ever. If you follow the approach that we're talking about, you wait till you're in your PT range, you know about what you're going to score, and then that LSAT score isn't like playing the slot machine. You know the range of numbers that are going to come back. I've shared this story in different places, but when I took my attempt where I eventually got a 173, I was in my office on campus during sorority recruitment week. So right across the street from my office was sorority row. There were hundreds of women all outside doing chants, singing, screaming, all of the stuff. But because I'd taken this test so many times, I was so comfortable with the test and my score range, really didn't shake me at all. That was my best LSAT. And I'm sure if you put Ben Olson on the front lawn of one of those sororities while all that was going on, Ben is scoring really well on the LSAT as well. The confidence comes not from the perfect testing environment, but from the time and work you put in on this test.
Yeah, it doesn't come from familiarizing yourself with the proctor or anything. Like the proctor, you could have 5 different proctors. They're all remote, they're all anonymous. You won't see their face. You might hear their voice. You might not even hear them or see them at all. It's just random, remote workers that are checking in to see that, make sure that you're in the frame and that you're like working on the test and that there's not other people walking around in your background or whatever. It's not really that big of a deal. The proctoring itself is not a big deal, but your understanding of the test, like if you aren't prepared, then you're going to be running into questions that you aren't feeling comfortable with how to answer them. And if you do that, then yeah, you're going to have some anxiety. So the anxiety is going to come from that lack of content preparation. I don't think the proctors really should matter if you're prepared. And Score Preview, to me, it just seems like a waste of money. You are allowed now to purchase it for every test if you want. And why not? Because it's just an opportunity for you to pay more if you want to pay more. The benefit of it is almost zero because you see that you scored something worse than what you want to have on your official record, so you cancel. Well, a canceled score is the same thing as a bad score, really, because a canceled score is basically a 120, right? That's your lowest possible score. Canceled score is basically that, because anything higher than a 120, could actually be used for an application. I mean, even a 120 is better than a canceled score. Like you have to have an official score on record in order to go to school. So all that Score Preview ever does is like it shows you your bad scores so that you can cancel them, but you might as well just leave your bad scores on your record, just like Chris did. He had some previous tests that, what was it, 150 something?
Yeah, 159 on my lowest actual LSAT.
Okay, and that hurts you zero because you got your scholarship to Wash U based on your 173, and Wash U just clearly didn't care about those lower numbers that were on your record.
No, praise the right angle of their admins.
Referring to the LSD.law charts that show you who's getting in and who's getting waitlisted, you'll see these stark lines that are just right at their medians, and that's the truth of Wash U. I mean, Chris is 1 or 2 points higher than their median, and so yeah, Chris is not only getting in, but he's getting a scholarship. And the fact that he has other lower scores on record, that did not enter into their analysis. Thank you, Bailey. Please email daily@lsatdaemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.